Hello, I'm Terry David Mulligan. This is Tasting Room Radio on mulliganstew.ca. It's August 4. It's my sister's birthday. Happy birthday, Maureen. This is all for you. Okay. I, today, am starting a journey in the Okanagan Re at the Hatch in West Bank, well, West Kelowna. And does anybody still call it West Bank?
I think a few people.
I love West Bank. Anyway, we're at the Hatch as a base for the start of the interviews we're going to do with Jeff Hundredmark, with Mark Filato, David Patterson from Tantalus. We're going to talk to several very, very important people at the Hatch and Black Swift, including, if he doesn't hold his breath, Jason Parks. We're going to talk to Ellen at TOTA, Thompson Okanagan Tourist Association, and then we'll just keep going from there. That's just the start of our day. Anyway, I want to let you know, starting at the Hatch. Here we go. Chef Mark Filato. It says here on my sheet, Mark, Waterfront Wines Restaurant. Is that correct?
Sure.
Are you the general manager as well?
Sure.
Are you the executive chef?
Sure.
Anything else?
Garbage guy. Bathroom cleaner.
We know that. That's a
lamb slaughterer.
I'll ask you 3 basic questions at the end of this, but I just
like
want to
wine.
I just want to. Did you bring any wine?
Oh no, I'm surrounded by it.
Yes, you are. You're at the Hatch. I've come to reconnect, although it doesn't really apply to you because we have reconnected once a year with our 4 friends, fishing, fluids, and food and things. But it's been a while since I've seen you, so get me up to speed for you and for Waterfront Wines and the restaurant. What can you possibly describe what the last 16, 18 months have been like?
That's a tough question. Hell. But always with positive light on the other side. So we seem to be coming out of it in the sense of this pandemic. But local support has been amazing. And we were pretty busy last summer, and this summer has been very busy.
How did you adjust?
We didn't really. We started delivering frozen soups and take-home meal kits on Saturdays, and Shar was putting about 120 kilometers in her car. I was putting about 110, dropping off things all over the valley or the Kelowna area, and that's what we did during the first closure. And then we just reopened with just half of the inside and the patio last summer, and then went through and think winter was okay, and then we got shut down again.
Did you do takeout?
We do takeout, and we did some takeout, but only on Saturdays.
Where did you put the drive-through window?
Yeah, we did. That's what didn't work. We don't really have a drive-up kind of a thing going on there.
You could throw it.
We could throw it, and to be honest, our food doesn't travel like that. It's not meant to be packaged, driven 20 minutes, and then reopened, and wow. That's awesome.
Al dente.
Yeah, or what happened to my fish?
It's all the same as the sauce. And did you like the idea of offering wines when you were legally allowed to do so?
I like the idea. I don't think there was some uptake on it, but not a lot of uptake. I think people here have, those wine fridges you have in your kitchen that have 30 bottles. I think everybody has one that's full of wines from the Hatch and Tantalus and their neighbors. So I don't know that they need to buy it from me.
But I mean, you would have paired it with food.
Yeah, but they don't care.
Okay, fine. They don't care.
Or maybe they do.
They care about you.
Maybe.
How's the restaurant? Is it surviving and well?
Yeah, we've had this past July could be our busiest month ever, which is bizarre. But we, like most restaurants in town, we shut for 2 days.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the new model, 5 days a week. So we're closed Sunday, Mondays, and maybe that concentrates people to the days that you're open, so that every day you're open is like a Saturday.
Did you see the Jeff Van Geest I Need a Miracle post that came out?
Oh yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
That's I'm lucky. I consider myself very lucky. We have just enough staff 4 to 5 days a week to handle the busiest month that we've ever had.
What about we, the customer? Have we taken all of that into consideration when we sit down, or are we still expecting 5-star hoo-ha?
I think there's people from both sides of the fence on that one. I think some people are very gracious in the sense of being, they're a model customer, and then you have other people who are, I think they forgot what's just happened around the world for the last 16 months. Or, there's been a big problem that's been national news where people aren't showing up for their reservations. They make reservations in all these places. So the best excuse yet, hostess calls, "Sir, you're 10 minutes late for your table. Are you still coming?" "Oh no, sorry, we're just getting off the boat. Cancel that, would you?"
Man.
Oh, and there comes the $20. It was $20, and we upped it to $40. Cancellation
Fee.
Yeah, totally.
It's big money to be made there.
Well, I'm sorry about your boat. And not calling or thinking.
Is there one moment that defines the pandemic that you'll tell your children, grandchildren, friends down the road, or over a campfire?
I don't know if there's one moment, but it's like, for me, I likened it to my grandmother, who always told the stories of when the Russians were coming and they were fleeing the Russians, and they took the engine of the train, and they were in the middle of nowhere, and everybody was scared, and she had my mom and my aunt with her, who were both under 2. And she told that story every single family dinner, birthday, Christmas.
And it got better and better.
It got the same and more the same every time. And I think that's going to be my story. The pandemic. When I was da-da-da-da-da, and almost lost the business and the house, and then the fires came. Right, because there's some fires now.
And you'll be hitting kids with your cane.
Totally. Get off the couch.
And the fires, they affected you personally?
Not personally, but the smoke, well, sort of personally. I'm an aerobic athlete in a very unprofessional manner. I like riding bicycles, and I have a dog who you haven't met yet, who's an Aussie Shepherd who requires lots of activity and aerobic activity. So I haven't been able to take her mountain biking or jogging and that kind of stuff. So long, slow walks and swimming isn't quite enough.
All right, he's Mark Pelletot. He is the man behind Waterfront Wines restaurant. Now, did all of this affect the menu, the kind of restaurant you are, or the kind of restaurant you might be going forward?
Yeah, we kind of divided our restaurant, the menu, into sort of 2 sections: unsmoked and smoked.
And is it 50-50?
It depends on the day, where the winds are coming from.
Can you tell because they have a smoky effect to them when they walk in?
Well, jokes aside, I think it's been a very difficult, with the heat wave that happened, it's been a very difficult year for farmers. So some farmers, if they didn't have the right water source, or the irrigation broke down, like, you're looking at a farmer that would have tons of produce at this time of year, and they don't have anything. They got scorched. And that's a common term.
Yeah.
Not just humans on the beach,
Yeah.
but like the cherries.
Yeah.
The raspberry harvest this year was nothing.
Yeah. Same thing with the shellfish on the coast for much of it. What happened with the whole masking on, masking off, vaccine off? Did you have confrontations at the door?
People were pretty good about it, I would say, and no confrontations as of yet where anybody really refused. But you see some people, they like run to the bathroom with their hand in front of their face. Like they've forgotten, and they realize halfway from the table of the bathroom that they should have put their mask on. And then we went with the thing where everybody, after 2 weeks as a staff member, after your second shot, 2 weeks after, following the guidelines, then maybe you didn't have to wear a mask at work.
Yeah.
I got 1 day of freedom. It came down the next day. But even our servers, they were still, because of the numbers that were starting to happen here before they said indoors you have to have your mask on. The servers had decided that they're going to keep theirs on because they are in contact with people mano a mano. Or us in the kitchen, we're just sort of hiding behind the pass in a sense.
Okay, a couple of quick things. Are we drinking more wine? Are we eating more food?
Personally, I'm drinking a lot of wine. I punched so many holes in my cellar this past 18 months. I think people are eating a lot of food, and I think it's, I mean, being a restaurant in the Okanagan and people wine touring all day, it's hard to analyze their consumption at dinner because maybe they've imbibed too much over the day. But people are still drinking a lot of wine.
And finally, going forward, the next 5 years, what do you think? Next 10 years, next 15 years, the future of the Okanagan?
Freedom 55.
Huh?
Freedom 55.
Freedom 55. Has this changed business here, do you think?
Like for myself, I think just that 5-day-a-week model is way better for staff. It's way better for myself personally, and if it focuses people coming into the restaurant on Tuesday through Saturday, and you're a little bit busier rather than spread out over 7 days, then so be it.
He's Mark Filato, okay?
Who?
And I'll see you fishing.
We'll see each other fishing. Maybe we'll meet my dog.
Oh, nice.
She likes fishing.
What's your website?
Waterfrontrestaurant.ca.
Thank you. He's the general manager and the winemaker at Tantalus, across the way. It's been a while.
It has. How you doing?
I'm very well. The last time I think was the Pinot celebration.
Pinot celebration for sure. Yeah.
How did it go in retrospect?
Oh, it was fantastic. It was a great event. We miss it. It's not an event we're going to bring back this year, but maybe next year.
It would be tough to do this year.
Yeah, for sure.
How shortened down did you have? Because you're creative and you like to do things and events. How did you handle these last 16, 18 months?
Oh, I think we came out of it pretty good. I mean, I suppose we're still not out of it, but we managed to do a couple of different dinner series where we just sold tables of 6 rather than full family style long table dinners like we used to. So we bought wildebeest out from Vancouver and did that, and we had we had a few different guest chefs over the year. This year we're doing another wildebeest thing. Even though wildebeest is closed, we're bringing the whole band back together and sort of like a reunion tour. That's going to be fun. It's actually next week. It's been sold out for a while, but just trying to do things like that and operate within the rules, but still create some fun things for guests.
Did we adjust to it? We, the customer?
Yes, in general. I mean, right at the start it was a little strange. We had a few sort of people that were quite resistant to masks come through the tasting room, etc.
Did you have a word with them?
Oh yeah, they weren't welcome. And then, but I would say overall customers have adjusted really well. There's still a little bit of a stigma at the moment, it seems, around booking for tastings, which pretty much everyone's gone to that sit-down tasting experience a little longer with the guest. And we all think, I think, not just myself, but the whole industry thinks that it's actually a better way to be in front of customers than the melee of a busy tasting bar where there is no bookings. And so the overwhelming feedback from customers has been that it is a better experience, that they are willing to pay the money and to have that experience. And while there's still many people milling around the valley with no bookings and sort of rolling into tasting rooms, and tasting rooms are adjusting and taking walk-ins where they can, just having a decent amount of bookings already each day really sets the day up, and then we can give a far better experience both with our wines and just in general by having that. So once COVID goes away, I'm not going back. I'm going to stay in that booking.
So it's changed.
I think it's changed. Yeah, I would be very surprised to see many tasting rooms go back. There are some tasting rooms that are really set up with big long bars for that walk-in traffic, and they will probably go back to that. But most people, I think, will stick with the booking system.
I've said this before, but I kind of got turned off a bit on tastings when a big guy pushed me out of the way and walked up to the serving bar and said the wife would like a red.
Yeah.
Like it was a beer hall.
Yeah, for sure.
And I just went, I'm done with it. I can't. So I understand this. I understand what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. Look, we see about 60% of the people we used to see, humans through the door, because that's what we can handle in this system, and we sell more wine to those 60% people than we used to back in the old system. So for sure we're sticking with the reservation system.
How much wine did we drink?
Well, I mean, I've got a lot of pressure on all my SKUs right now, so a lot. It was, you know, there was a lot of challenges to the hospitality side of our business, but I think we all pivoted pretty well. And from what I've heard from my colleagues, everyone's in a pretty good position at the moment as far as, you know, sell through on wine.
You got to sit down. You're making me nervous. No, I know. I can see you standing there. Enjoy the day. Listen, there's a chair here. You can bring it around the corner. Okay, so that's you, the general manager, talking. Let's talk to the winemaker, you for a
Sure.
second. Let me get this right. You have pestilence. You have crickets somewhere. You have fires. You have heat ovens. You have water shortage. You have maybe staffing numbers down. What else have I missed? And how's the growing season?
I mean, the growing season's been really challenging. It's one of the one of the interesting things that we do in our business. Keeps us on our toes. Every season's different. I've seen vineyards that have come through really well through that heat dome, and you know, the fact that we've had basically zero rain since May. To me, the organic systems, or the more sustainable systems that are not using herbicide and not using insecticide and have a robust biodiverse environment, seem to have come through better than the really commercially farmed vineyards. And to me, that's because when you don't have any cover crop and then you've got such heat, you're going to lose so much more moisture out of your soil. Your soil's not alive, it's not holding that moisture. When you have a full cover crop and no herbicide strip under your vines, you're getting a moisture cycle. So as the vine's respiring, even when it was 25 degrees in the morning, we were still getting dewing on all the plants below. And then so we're conserving so much more moisture. We're still watering a lot because there hasn't been any rain, but overall, from what I've visually seen, the vineyards that have cover crops versus the vineyards that are bare bones and moonscapes have come through this heat far better.
This is just me speaking, but occasionally I look up and just say, you're angry. I know you're angry. The earth is angry. It just seems angry at us. And I don't blame it. I just wonder, going forward, how much adjustment will you have to make?
Well, I think grapes are a long cycle, and one crazy heat dome and one very hot summer, you know, the hottest on record, sure, but you know, we've had hot summers before. 2015, 2018, 2003 was incredibly hot. So you know, ask me the same question in 3 years' time. If we've seen a repeat of this summer every year for 3 or 4 years, then we're really going to have to rethink what we're doing. But I'm not going to make any knee-jerk reactions based on one summer, or conversely one crazy winter that really hurt us 2 winters ago. Really cracked and damaged a lot of trunks on our side of the lake there. The bench basically from us to the Kitches and where the Quailsgate big planting is. That whole bench got really hurt in the 18 to 19 winter. I mean, everyone in the valley got some damage, but we got particularly cold in that area, minus 25, minus 26. Some definite vine death and a lot of bud damage. So We don't. I mean, we've never been in this before, right? We've never gone from minus 20 to plus 47 in 6 months, and so these vines probably don't know what the hell's going on, and so we don't really know what these residual effects are going to be. But that's not going to then. We need to see what those effects are before we make any major decisions, rather than going, oh, it's hot. Let's pull out that and put that in, or stop growing this, and you know. I think that's a very knee-jerk look at what is going on. Yes, it is trending a little hotter. I don't think that that's a particularly bad thing overall for the Okanagan if we can still see the June rains that we usually rely on, which we didn't this year. But we're used to seeing some pretty hot weather. You know, we usually hit around 40, not the 47s, but I think, you know, as long as we get those June rains, a little trend to a little bit hotter is not going to hurt us as much as it's going to hurt, say, Napa or Santa Rita or anything like that. You know, where if we're that hot, they're going to be even hotter. You know, you might start seeing a little bit of the bigger red varieties planted a little bit further north in the Okanagan, things like that. But this is going to take time. This is not a 1 or 2 year process to me.
David's brought with him 2 releases from Tantalus. Why these 2? What are they?
So we've got Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, 2018 Chardonnay, just the very last of the 2018 Chardonnays, drinking spectacularly well right now. And then new release, released 2 weeks ago, the 2019 Pinot Noir, both off our property.
Let me start backwards. The Pinot Noir, I know you were a Pinot Noir hound.
Mm-hmm.
Do you just internally compare the 2019 to the 2018, the 2017? Just and how did it show itself?
Well, 19 was a really small cropped vintage
Yeah.
because of that winter. So there's incredible concentration in both 19 and 20 wines, where I'm actually racking the 20 today. My assistant winemaker is literally sucking wine out of barrel right now. And that'll go back to neutral oak and then get bottled, unfined, unfiltered in the spring. So this had the same treatment, so it was bottled in February and then coming out now. We usually want at least 3 or 4 months in bottle before we release it. I think it's denser, more concentrated, not necessarily more tannic, just denser is a better way to describe it than 17 or 18
This is
were.
a good thing.
And not necessarily for Pinot. I think there is a wonderful place for that sort of Chambon Musigny Volnay light ethereal style of Pinot, and there's also a wonderful place for the Gevrey Pommade deeper, darker
And
expression.
to go full circle, that's what I discovered at the celebration, the Pinot celebration, is that there is one of everything.
Oh yeah,
in the Pinot range.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it comes down to the dirt, and then a lot of different choices in growing the grape, and then a lot of different choices in the winery as well. So our bench is, you know, very sort of gritty and tannic. All the wines that come from around there, you know, you get up to Spearhead, you go over to the Kitches, you know, wherever you look around our area, there's a real structure and density to the wines.
Yep.
And then you get down into the Okanagan Falls, and you know the soils are different and climate's different, and they may be lighter and more floral, and I don't think one or the other is better or worse. They're just very different, which is great. That's why we love Pinot, because Pinot expresses in so many different ways.
What's the price point?
We are $32, taxes in.
I'll show you the label in a second. Don't wait. There it is. There you go. Right there. And he's been trained to do that. It's okay. The Chardonnay 2018.
Mm-hmm. So Chardonnay's always been something that I've loved. I started my career working at Neudorf, which makes New Zealand's finest Chardonnay. I mean, there are a lot of great New Zealand Chardonnays. I'm biased towards Neudorf's Moutry Old Vine Chardonnay, but certainly would be considered one of the top in the Southern Hemisphere year in and year out. So it's always been something that I've really loved making. And we have a really special site for Chardonnay. Although we're known as the Riesling guys, and we do make really good Riesling, Chardonnay has been described often by wine writers and by sommeliers as our dark horse. And we pour a lot of Chardonnay in restaurants because we retain acidity like Chablis, we get weight like Montrachet,
but well, Pouilly Montrachet is its own beast in general, but we get in some ways the best of both worlds, and I truly think that Chardonnay over the next 10 or 15 years, as we show these kinds of bottlings at 10 years old where they actually really age well as well, could be, because there's a decent amount planted as well, could be the white wine that really shows the pedigree of the Okanagan. I'd love to see that. I think Pinot Gris's kind of boring. It's just Pinot Gris. There's not a lot of nuance or difference in Pinot Gris up and down the valley or really around the world, unless you get the beautiful Grand Crus of the Alsace, where I think Chardonnay expresses far more interestingly around the valley here.
You haven't changed a bit. All the toes that you step on. What's the price point on the Chard?
The Chard is the same as the Pinot Noir.
Show them that label just for a second. And it's a great carving there. Great carving. But you did mention something. I was thinking on the drive up, I was thinking, we used to grow, we're patting ourselves on the back that we were growing one of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Do we now have, can we now redefine what the promise of the Okanagan is?
I think that's already happening. You know, a lot of the older vineyards that were, you know, an acre of everything, you know, the Tantalus property when it was Pioneer Vineyards was the same. You know, there was Bacchus, there was Cabernet Sauvignon, there was all sorts of stuff on that property. We pulled everything out and tried to focus more like an old world estate on the three varieties that we make. We've got a little Pinot Meunier that goes into Rosé as well, but we're basically Pinot, Chardonnay and Riesling. And you're seeing that in a lot of companies right around the valley and around BC, where people are starting to specialize in what they grow really well. And then when you look at the medium size or bigger companies, they have lots of different holdings. So within their portfolio, they can have a lot more diversity. But when you look at where those wines actually came from in their portfolio, they're also definitely honing down what's growing where and how well it's growing.
David, just one last thought.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting byproduct of how you've changed your tasting room. You know, you get a chance to actually speak and answer questions and have a conversation about your wines. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
Maybe that will show itself in the future from the other side of the counter, where we'll come in and we'll have that knowledge and we'll be better customers.
I think we've already seen it as well. I mean, we're seeing a lot less of the big party bus. You know, we're just here to, you know, have a good time and get drunk, than we used to, mainly because you're not allowed big groups, I think, but also, you know, people are rethinking their lives as well. Do I really need a stag ed of 22 people, or can I maybe use my money more wisely than that, and maybe just have a smaller group of more intimate friends that are really truly friends. So I think that goes right down to how society is changing more than anything else, where people who are into wine are coming and wanting to spend the time, and they're educating themselves. They're reading more. When they're drinking more consciously. They're looking for higher acid, lower alcohol, fresher, and I think the Okanagan provides that in spades. So I think the future looks bright for us.
Two last questions. One, are we going to see your celebration again, Pinot celebration?
I mean, that'll be a question for Jack Meyer and I to sit down and talk about. I think so. It might be a completely different iteration. We've got a few other ideas, but yes, I don't know whether it'll be 22 or 23, but yeah.
And finally, anything you want to tease us with that's coming?
Well, this harvest, there's all sorts of interesting things to be made, I think, in the valley with, you know, not just at Tantalus, but I think this harvest could prove to be a very challenging one in the cellar, and so you're going to see the best properties and the best winemakers shine this year more than ever before.
I have no idea what you just said, but it's okay. It's okay. I would like to see some Gamay show up in this valley sooner than later.
Sure, there's a little bit of Gamay kicking around, and I've been in a lot of discussion about Gamay, and you know what it comes down to?
is Pinot reaches a higher price, and Pinot makes your land value higher. So it's really hard to convince a landowner to go, I'll plant Gamay instead of Pinot, when Pinot makes your land worth more and you get more for your grapes.
Thank you for this.
No problem.
It's
Cheers.
a pleasure to actually sit down and go nose to nose.
Excellent. Thanks. Cheers.
Here's Jeff Hundredmark, Mount Boucherie and Rust Wine. How have you been handling the year?
It's been a year, that's for sure. Yeah, it's like everybody, we've been sort of struggling through, working through all the hoops of COVID and all that kind of thing. But the smoke has not been a big help to us in the summertime. But it's also been not a major problem. I mean, as far as business is concerned, as far as our overall business plan, the winery's doing really well.
We've showed up. The wine family's shown up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of weird for us because we opened up, Terry, right at the very beginning of COVID, like the weekend that they shut us down.
Yeah.
That Bonnie Henry came in and shut us down and said no more, and that was the weekend we opened. So it was it was fun, yeah. But no, you know what? It's been really good. We've had a little stutters every once in a while, but the last year's been great. Over.
So, what do we need to know about Rust? Let's first of all start with location.
So Rust is located down in Oliver, between Oliver and Osoyoos, right on the Golden Mile Bench. So we are road 16, I believe, is the exit. You have to look for the little rusty sign on the side of the road. It's not a it's not a real
It's small.
standout.
I was looking for it and I saw it.
Yeah, it's a tough one. We've been talking about fixing that a little bit, but it's, people find us obviously because we've been doing really, really well. What was the other question you asked me?
The question was, first of all, it was someone else's vineyard. You overtook it. Who are your partners down there? Who's on site?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so Kane Morgan, who is our general manager for Rust, he's there all the time along with Caitlin, his assistant. The winemaker, as I mentioned before, is Ryan. So Ryan's down there a couple times a week doing tasting barrels and making sure everything is going well, making sure during harvest, obviously, the ferments are going well. And
Remind people of what the Rust wine, or Rustico, was known for.
Oh, yeah.
But besides the stagecoach,
Yeah.
just the wines and how you've changed that over the years.
Well, I think it was a little bit more shticky than it was serious. That's for sure. I think what we've done is we've kind of changed it around a bit and made it a little bit more serious, and we're really focused on single lot, single varietal, single lot. We're doing a lot of things like Syrah, which we do in three different vineyard sites, 4 different vineyard sites now, but all made exactly the same way, and just tasting of the soil and of the region.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
What's the top of that bottle look like?
Well, they're all waxed.
They're all waxed different
yeah,
colors.
Yeah, they're all different colors. So every vineyard has its own color theme, basically, for all the labeling.
I am so impressed with those wines. They're fantastic. Just to take us through that, there's 4 different Syrahs.
Yeah.
Grown in 4 different locations, or from the same vineyard but treated differently.
No, from 4 different vineyards, from 4 different locations. So we've got our home farm, which is on the Golden Mile Bench. That's
Right.
the orange wax top. We have the Similkameen Valley, which is the sort of the baby blue top, and that's our vineyard down South Coast and just across from Vanessa Vineyards, right beside Seven Stones. So we have a big 85.
I just drove by there.
Yeah, a big 85 acre vineyard there, which is the majority of our grapes for Rust and for Mount Boucherie. So we source our Syrah from there, and then the Black Sage Bench, we have a relationship with the fine folks at Quinta Ferrera. So we purchased a small lot of their Syrah grapes for the Black Sage Bench.
Just at the top end of that road.
That's right, yeah. And then the newest one is our Lost Horn Vineyard, which is in Okanagan Falls. So that one will be a, what color is that one? That's kind of a lavender purple colored.
That's nice. I think it's handsome. It's a very handsome idea. Now, give us, because I'm going to pour those. I'm going to go on our annual fishing trip with myself, Mark Filato, who was here, chef, who knows his wines. He's really good. John Weber from Orofino, and Reese Pender, Master Wine. I'm taking those 4 wines on our fishing trip, and I want to know what they think
No
of this
pressure.
concept. No pressure.
No
at all.
pressure.
Tell us about those 4 different wines and how different, just to show how the regions change a certain varietal.
Oh, they really do. So primarily the soil type is really what's different in each of those regions. The Similkamine's really kind of schisty and stony, rocky. The Golden Mile is big stone, really hard granite and some sand in there. The Black Sage Bench is virtually all sand. And then Okanagan Falls is again a really rocky site, a lot of minerals and real salinity in the wines.
So in that same order, tell me about the taste of those varietals, different.
In that same order, so the Similkameen, we're going to get, it's going to have some fairly good meat characters to that Syrah. So it's got a real kind of cured deli meats kind of character to it. The fruit's really present, really bright red fruit. The Golden Mile is a lot more kind of almost dried fruits, stewed fruits, really kind of jam, confectionery type of fruit. And the Black Sage Bench is again another big meaty one, but it also has a real good herbaceous character. It's got a lot of that floral character, garrigue we call it in the industry. The lavender and the sage and all that sort of thing. Okanagan Falls, that's a new one for us, and it's I'm just tasting that one for the first time as its own varietal.
Where in Okanagan Falls?
So right on Oliver Ranch Road, which is we're right across the street from Liquidity.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, thanks.
Well done, and the packaging is fantastic. It's really good. What did you bring?
I brought a couple
He
of
is Jeff
things,
Huntermark, by the
yeah.
way, and he is the head winemaker, chief winemaker, thank you, at Mount Bou, and Rust Wine, and we're talking Rust right now.
We're gonna do all rusts, yeah. So I brought an oak Chardonnay, which is a lot of fun. Real easy drinking, quaffing wine, but really it's got really good food because it's got a real interesting salinity to it. Really good mineral character to it, stony and just delicious.
Price point?
Jack, you always ask me these questions. Damn it. I'm going to go with 26.
You can't do that.
52.
Okay. How about the Cab Franc?
Cab Franc is, that one's 30, and that one is, they're both Lost Horn Vineyard fruit, so those are both Okanagan Falls. The last one I brought. Yes. So that's this one here. This baby's not even been bottled yet. This one is still in barrel. We're bottling in another couple of weeks. But this is going to be our pièce de résistance. Yeah, there we go. It's probably a better shot for me. This is all from the Golden Mile. So all of our home vineyard fruit. So it's about equal parts, 35% Zinfandel, Merlot, and Syrah, with a little bit of Cabernet Sauvignon and a tiny bit of Gewürztraminer in there as well. Yeah, I said Gewürz.
Gewürz.
Yeah. So it's a
For the nose?
It's great. Yeah, for the nose, for the floral character, kind of freshens up the fruit a lot.
And this is the bottle shot right here.
It's not gonna. This is.
Tasting notes.
Look at it. It's even a Mount Boucherie cap. It's in a wrong shaped bottle, wrong cap. So it's perfect for one of these radio things.
When does it come out?
This will be released probably in, I'm going to say late fall. It'll be probably our fall release, and this time is going to be mostly for our wine club members.
Okay.
So this will be a special add-on to the wine club. We only made about 110, 115 cases of this vintage. Next vintage, it'll be a little bit bigger. The 2020, we've got about, say, 250 cases of that.
Rust Wine Co. How are things in Malibu?
Oh, great. Yeah, busy, and you know what? We're getting ready for harvest. It's probably about 3 weeks away, I think, for starting bubbles. So that'll be our first pick, and then getting right into it. And we're just in the midst now of trying to find people to work because it's tough.
Aren't you glad you came?
To the Okanagan?
Yeah.
Oh my God, the best decision I've ever made. Besides marrying, of course, Kimberly. But yeah, you know what? It was the best decision I ever made. I absolutely love it.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Have a great rest of the year, whatever the hell happens.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Jeff Hundredmark, head winemaker at Montboucherie and Rust Wine Co. And this, Solus. Watch for it.
Yeah, keep your eyes open for that.